Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And we just got through celebrating the 4th of July, the United States of America's Independence Day, and it should be a time to gather with family, friends, and loved ones. But unfortunately, in many of our major cities, instead of it being a gathering based upon love and positivity, it ends up being a gathering that elicits devastation, destruction, and many times death. And that's what took place in Chicago over the weekend. And they actually outpaced themselves from the previous year, 2023. In 2024, there were more shootings, more gun violence, and more murders than the previous year, which is quite unfortunate. And if you can see the dichotomy and the hypocrisy in these holiday celebrations that many times turn into devastation and destruction. We've got to wake up, America, and regain our humanity and our love for one another. And Chicago has a lot of things that are going on that are taking place that is just destroying the city. And Chicago has a very special place in my heart, being partially from Chicago. So here we go. Chicago denounces gun violence after 109 people were shot, 109, and 19 fatally during 4th of July weekend. Experts have said gun violence often surges during the summer months as temperatures rise and large groups gather for activities. More than 100 people in Chicago were shot, including 19 fatally, during a violent 4th of July weekend that has left dozens of people dead and hundreds more injured across the United States, officials said. Although violent crime has declined nationwide over the last year, according to recent federal data, experts have said gun violence often surges during the summer months as temperatures rise and large groups gather for activities. In Chicago, here again, 109 people were shot, 19 of them fatally, in a spat of gun violence over the 4th of July weekend, police said at a news conference on Monday. The shootings have stunned the city and have left it in a state of grief, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson said in a statement Friday, after several violent incidents occurred. During Monday's news conference, Chicago Police Department Superintendent Larry Snelling and Mayor Johnson called for accountability for those responsible for the shootings. These are our fellow Chicagoans, our neighbors, family members, who've lost their lives, Johnson said. We need to ensure that we are holding every single individual accountable for the pain and trauma and the torment they have caused in the city of Chicago. Hundreds of other shootings also occurred over the weekend across the United States, according to gun control group Moms Demand Action and the Gun Violence Archive. There were more than 500 shootings that resulted in at least 180 people killed and over 525 wounded, Moms Demand Action said in a news release on Monday. These incidents include a shooting in Detroit in early Sunday, where 2 people were killed and 19 others were injured at a block party. On Saturday, 4 people were fatally shot and 3 were wounded at a 21st birthday party in Florence, Kentucky. Now follow that story. We're talking about in Detroit, a block party, and we're talking about in Kentucky, a 21st birthday party. Here again should be a time of celebration, exuberation of love, and it turns into desecration, disintegration, and death. Chicago police say gun violence is a societal issue. City officials had implemented several safety measures after a series of unrelated shootings took place in Chicago following the 4th of July celebrations. Remember the word celebration. On Friday, Johnson said the city canceled police officers' days off for the weekend to maximize the presence and ensure prompt incident response, activated an emergency services assistance center to provide support services for the community, and would hold a community rally Friday evening to promote bonding, support, and healing. But despite those efforts, officials said dozens of shootings still occurred over the weekend. In total, I'm repeating it again, 109 people were shot in dozens of separate incidences, according to Chicago police. The 19 victims who were killed between Thursday and Sunday exceeded the number of last year's 4th of July weekend, when 11 people in the city were fatally shot, according to the Chicago police data. Police Chief Superintendent Snelling noted Monday a shooting on Thursday that killed 2 women and an 8-year-old boy and injured 2 other children. Another incident occurred shortly after midnight on Friday that left 8 people between the ages of 18 and 74 injured in Chicago's Little Italy neighborhood, police said. When we look at what happened this weekend, we always look to say it's a police issue, Snelling said on Monday. But this is a societal issue. The police cannot be in everybody's backyard. They cannot be in everybody's home. They cannot invade every single gathering where there's a possibility that someone may show up with a gun. Snelling urged the public and communities to come forward with tips and help investigators apprehend those responsible. We need to take these people off the street, and we need to keep them off the street so that they don't reoffend, so that they don't destroy other families. We have to really stop and think about the mindset of someone who will shoot a child, a helpless child, an unarmed mother, and think that's okay, and go on about their days. The 4th of July ranks annually as the most violent day of the year, according to Northeastern University criminologist James Allen Cox. Gun violence experts have warned that violent crimes tend to increase during the summer as people gather in large crowds for concerts, parades, and other outdoor activities. He said there's definitely a relationship between temperature and violence, and that probably has to do with just more people, more interactions, more firearms, more alcohol, and things of those nature. Joshua Horwitz, co-director of Johns Hopkins Center for Gun Violence Solutions, previously told USA Today, "It's just unfortunate on this day and age, simple arguments, when you're armed, turn lethal." Northeastern University reported earlier this month that 1 out of 10 most violent days of the year, 9 days, are during the summer. I'm going to repeat that again. Northeastern University reported earlier this month that out of the 10 most violent days of the year, 9 of those days are in the summer, or during the summer. Fox added that following the 4th of July, the second most violent day is July 5th, because some of the July 4th parties spill over into the midnight of the next day, which is July 5th. Experts and officials have also noted that gun violence continues to erupt during celebratory events and holidays across the U.S. Now listen to this one. Over the Father's Day weekend, USA Today previously reported that at least 73 people were killed and 308 were injured in shootings. This is very important because part of this problem that we're having when you talk about, and here's another piece of dichotomy and hypocrisy, when it says over the Father's Day weekend that at least 73 people were killed and 300 injured. Part of this problem, and a major part of a lot of these shootings and this gun violence, one is there's too many guns on the street, and there's too many fatherless homes, mentored homes, uncle-less homes, grandfatherless homes, big brotherless homes. According to Moms Demand Action, there were nearly 300 shootings nationally during the Memorial Day weekend and at least 248 shootings over the Easter weekend. Here again, Father's Day, Memorial Day, Easter weekend, 4th of July, all of these are supposed to be celebratory weekends for barbecuing, hanging out, people gathering, getting together, catching up. And I repeat it again when I talk about there are several pillars that are destroying the moral and ethical fabric of America. And mental health issues, stress, anxiety falls under that umbrella, the opioid crisis, but definitely fatherless homes, and gun violence, too many guns on the street. We have to wake up and refabricate our family structure and our system. And it's also unfortunate, and being a middle-aged man and a man of color, of what we call today African American heritage or black, that the majority of these shootings, especially in our major cities like Philadelphia, St. Louis, Chicago, is happening by people of color. And people of color are committing these acts against other people of color. So just when we need Black Lives Matter, they can be present when a white officer commits a crime against a black citizen. Everybody wants to protest because of the racial dynamic, but there's also a linear, monolithic racial dynamic when we have black on black violence. And that is a heavy preponderance of what is going on in our urban cities. Yes, many crimes are displaced or happen based on proximity, but also they happen based on the hatred and the fear that we have for one another. There are more black on black gun violence and crimes that are taking place than by far than a white police officer killing a black innocent citizen. Both scenarios are abominable, and are wrong, and devalue us as humans in this vast society that we live in, and this so-called first world free country we live in, the land of opportunity. Well, now in today's time, many of these opportunities are being taken away based on hatred, anger, stress, anxiety, poverty, fatherless homes, self-hatred for one another, no measure of conflict resolution and or mediation. Nobody has a fist fight anymore. Everything is handled with a weapon. And we are purging, and we are going to lose an entire generation of young folks. If you look at the statistics, many of these people that have gotten shot and harmed are young. There were 7 to 9 people that were shot on the day of the 4th of July in St. Louis, and all of them were young people. There were no 40, 50, and 60-year-old people being shot. So between the overly sexualized music, the drug culture, the opioid crisis, and gun violence, we are on the precipice of losing an entire generation of folks. And you have to include in their inept inner city public schools where kids are reading 2 and 3 grade levels behind where they should be. This is a wake-up call video, and we need to remove many of the guns that are out on the street. America is number one in 2 categories. We have more guns on the streets than any country in the world, and we incarcerate more people than any other place in the world. That needs to change. Tell me what you think. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth in a positive, righteous, and God-fearing way.